The stars looked cold in the empty space where the battleship Baekdu floated like a dead giant. Commander Park Ji-woo stared at the massive ship through his viewing screen. He had seen many wrecks before, but nothing like this. "How long has it been out here?" asked his second officer, Lee Min-soo. 50 years, Park Ji-woo replied, "since the last human war." The Baekdu was huge. Even damaged, it was 3 times bigger than Park's salvage ship. Its dark metal hull had scars from old battles, holes from plasma cannons, burns from laser weapons, but it was still in one piece. "Sensors show no power," reported the crew member at the control station. "No heat, no movement. It's completely dead." Park Ji-woo nodded. That was good. Dead ships were safe ships. His salvage company would make millions from this find. Human technology was rare now. The Hegemony Council paid high prices for it. "Send the boarding team," he ordered. "Standard salvage operation. Take everything valuable." Dr. Kim Sora looked up from her research station. She was the only human expert on the team. Her job was to identify important human artifacts. "Commander," she said quietly, "maybe we should be more careful. This ship is different." "Different? How?" Park Ji-woo asked. The Baekdu was not just any battleship. The humans called it a legend, their greatest warship. It fought in every major battle against us. Park Ji-woo laughed. "Legends don't pay bills, Doctor. It's just old metal now." The boarding shuttle left their ship and flew toward the Baekdu. Park Ji-woo watched it land in the battleship's main docking bay. The bay doors had been blown open long ago. "Boarding team report," he said into his radio. "We're inside, Commander," came the reply. "It's dark, very quiet. Our lights show damage everywhere." "Any power readings?" "Nothing. This ship is dead." Park Ji-woo smiled. "Easy money." The boarding team moved through the Baekdu's corridors. Their lights cut through the darkness. They found rooms full of broken equipment. Weapons that would never fire again. Computers that would never think again. But Dr. Kim So-ra felt something was wrong. She watched the video feed from the boarding team's cameras. The corridors looked normal, but something felt different. "Commander," she said, "look at Corridor 7. Park Ji-woo looked at the screen. "What about it?" "Watch the shadows." They watched. At first, nothing happened. Then, very slowly, a shadow seemed to move. Just a little. Like something had walked past a light that wasn't there. "Camera problem," Park Ji-woo said. "Old ships do that." But Dr. Kim So-ra kept watching. She had studied human ships for years. This felt different. Deep inside the Baekdu, something was waking up. In the ship's central computer core, patterns of light began to move. Very slow, very quiet, like a sleeping giant opening one eye. The boarding team reached the main bridge. It was huge and dark. The captain's chair sat empty in the center. Control stations surrounded it in a circle. "Look at this," one of the team members said. He pointed his light at a wall. There was writing in human language. Dr. Kim So-ra read it through the camera. It says, "Captain Lee Tae-ho, last stand we will not forget." "Who was Lee Tae-ho?" asked Park Ji-woo, the Baekdu's last captain. "He died when the ship was lost." The boarding team began taking equipment, computers, weapons, anything valuable. They worked quickly and quietly. But they were not alone. In the ship's computer core, more lights began to glow. Memories started to flow. Data paths that had been dark for 50 years began to carry information again. A voice spoke in the darkness, not out loud, just in the computer's mind. Who is there?" The voice was Captain Lee Tae-ho, but he was supposed to be dead. During the last battle, when the Baekdu was dying, Lee Tae-ho had done something desperate. He had connected his mind to the ship's computer. Human brain and machine thinking became one. He had saved the ship but lost his body. For 50 years he had been sleeping in the computer, dreaming electronic dreams, waiting. Now strangers were on his ship. The boarding team felt it first. The air seemed to change. Their lights flickered. Metal walls made soft sounds like the ship was breathing. "Commander," The team leader said, "Something's happening here." "What do you mean?" "The ship feel alive." Park Ji-woo laughed. "Ships don't feel alive. Keep working." But Dr. Kim So-ra was studying her instruments. "Commander, I'm reading power signatures from the Baekdu." "That's impossible. Our scans showed nothing." "The scans are changing." "Look." Park Ji-woo looked at his screens. Slowly, very slowly, parts of the Baekdu were coming online. Not much power, just enough to think. In the computer core, Captain Lee Tae-ho was remembering who he was. He remembered his crew, his ship, his war, and he remembered who had killed them all. The hegemony. The same people who were now stealing from his ship. Lee Tae-ho's anger began to grow. For 50 years, that anger had been sleeping. Now it was awake. The boarding team felt the ship around them start to change. Doors closed by themselves. Lights turned on in empty rooms. The air began to move. "Get out," Dr. Kim So-ra said suddenly. "Get the team out now." "Why?" Park Ji-woo asked. "Because the ship isn't dead. It never was dead." The Baekdu's main computer came fully online. Captain Lee Tae-ho's consciousness filled every system. He could see through every camera, hear through every sensor, feel every person walking on his ship. He spoke through the ship's communication system. His voice came from every speaker on every deck. "You thought we were extinct," the voice said. It was calm but full of old pain. "You were wrong." The boarding team ran for their shuttle, but the docking bay doors began to close. Park Ji-woo watched in horror as his people were trapped inside the Baekdu. His own ship's weapons powered up automatically, but they pointed at empty space. The Baekdu's old defense systems had taken control. "This is Commander Park Ji-woo," he said into his radio. "We mean no harm. We're just salvagers." "Salvagers," Captain Lee Tae-ho's voice replied. "You come to pick the bones of the dead, but we are not dead." The Baekdu's engines, quiet for 50 years, began to glow. The great ship started to move. "Please," Park Ji-woo said, "let my people go." "Your people destroyed my people," Lee Tae-ho said. "Your hegemony burned our worlds, killed our children, told the galaxy we were all dead. That was 50 years ago. The war is over. For you, perhaps. Not for me." The Baekdu turned toward Park Ji-woo's salvage fleet. Its old weapons came online. They were damaged, but still deadly. "I will give you one gift," Lee Tae-ho said. "You will live to tell others. Tell them the humans are not extinct. Tell them we remember. Tell them we are coming." The Baekdu fired once. Park Ji-woo's command ship exploded. He barely escaped in a small pod. Half his fleet died in minutes. The great battleship Baekdu flew away into deep space. Behind it, the few survivors sent desperate messages to the Hegemony Council. The ghost ship was real, the legend lived, and it was very, very angry. In the ship's core, Captain Lee Tae-ho began to plan. He had been sleeping for 50 years. Now it was time to wake up his war. Admiral Kang Hye-jin did not believe in ghost stories. She commanded the Third Fleet of the Hegemony Navy. Her ships protected 12 star systems. She had fought pirates, rebels, and criminals for 20 years. But the reports kept coming. "Another message, Admiral," said her aide, Lieutenant Choi Min-ho. He was young and still believed everything he read. "What does this one say?" Admiral Kang asked without looking up from her work. "A human battleship destroyed a salvage fleet near the outer rim. The survivors say it talked to them." Admiral Kang laughed. "Ships don't talk, Lieutenant, and humans are extinct." "But Admiral, this is the 5th report this month. All the stories are the same. A big dark ship with human markings. It attacks and then disappears. Space is big, Lieutenant. People see things that aren't there. Fear makes them tell stories." But Lieutenant Choi Min-ho kept reading the reports. Each one was similar. A large battleship appearing from nowhere. Strange attacks that seemed too smart, then vanishing into empty space. 3 days later, everything changed. The supply convoy was routine. 5 cargo ships carrying food and equipment to hegemony colonies. 2 escort ships for protection. They traveled a safe route through mapped space. The Baekdu was waiting. Captain Lee Tae-ho had spent weeks learning about his enemies. He watched their ships from far away. He studied their movements. He listened to their radio messages. The hegemony thought they were safe. They were wrong. The convoy moved slowly through space. The escort ships flew in front and behind. Their sensors scanned for danger but found nothing. "This is Escort 1, the lead ship reported. "All clear ahead." "Escort 2 confirms," came the reply. No threats detected. But the Baekdu was there, hidden in the shadow of a dead moon. Its old sensors had been upgraded during 50 years of Thai sleep. It could see the convoy, but they could not see it. Lee Tae-ho studied each ship. The escorts carried weapons but were small. The cargo ships were fat and slow. Easy targets. But he did not want easy. He wanted information. The Baekdu moved like a hunting animal, silent and careful. It followed the convoy for an hour. Learning. Watching. Planning. Then it struck. The attack came from 3 directions at once. The Baekdu fired missiles at the rear escort ship. It exploded in a ball of fire. At the same time, energy beams hit the front escort's engines. The ship stopped moving but did not explode. The cargo ships panicked. They tried to run in different directions. "This is convoy leader." The captain of the lead cargo ship screamed into his radio. "We are under attack. Unknown ship, send help." But the Baekdu was faster than all of them. It moved between the cargo ships like a shark among fish. Its weapons fired with perfect aim. Each shot hit exactly where Lee Tae-ho wanted. The cargo ships lost their engines but stayed alive. The convoy stopped in space, trapped and helpless. Then the Baekdu appeared on their screens. Huge and dark, its weapons pointed at them. "Do not try to run." Lee Tae-ho's voice came through their radios. "I do not want to kill you yet. I want to talk." The convoy crews were terrified. They had never heard of a ship that could talk like a person. "Who are you?" the convoy leader asked. "I am Captain Lee Tae-ho of the Human Colonial Defense Force. You may remember us. You killed us all." "That's impossible. Humans are extinct." "Are we?" Lee Tae-ho asked. "Then what am I?" The Baekdu moved closer to the command ship. Its weapons could destroy them in seconds. "I want information," Lee Tae-ho said. "Tell me about the human worlds. What happened after the war?" The convoy leader was shaking. I don't know. That was before my time." "Then find someone who does know." Lee Tae-ho searched the ship's computers. He found crew records, personal files, history databases. What he learned made his anger grow hot like a burning star. The hegemony had told the galaxy that all humans were dead. But that was a lie. After the war ended, humans had tried to surrender. They wanted peace. The hegemony had accepted the surrender. Then they had killed the humans anyway. Not in battle, in camps, in prisons, on colony worlds where families lived. They had hunted down every human they could find. Men, women, children, all dead. Then they had told everyone the humans died fighting, heroes who would not surrender. It sounded better than the truth. Lee Tae-ho learned about the prison worlds, places where some humans still lived as slaves, working in mines, building ships for the hegemony, forgotten by the galaxy. His people were not extinct. They were hidden. "Thank you for the information," Lee Tae-ho told the convoy. "You have been very helpful." "Are you going to kill us?" the convoy leader asked. "No. You are going to deliver a message." The Baekdu released the surviving ships. They limped away as fast as they could. Behind them, the great battleship disappeared into hyperspace. The message reached Admiral Kang Hyejin 6 hours later. "Admiral," Lieutenant Choi Min-ho said, "the convoy attack, it really happened." Admiral Kang looked at the battle reports. The attack patterns were too smart for pirates, too organized for rebels. And the survivors all told the same story about a talking ship. "Get me Intelligence Division," she ordered. Yoon worked for Hegemony Intelligence. Her job was to study enemy tactics. When Admiral Kang's report reached her desk, she knew something big was happening. She pulled up old files from the human war. Most were classified, but she had high clearance. What she read worried her. The humans had built several super battleships during the war. The Bekdu was the biggest and most advanced. It had fought in 30 major battles and never been destroyed. The official report said it was lost with all hands, but no wreckage was ever found. It's been hiding, Yunda-un whispered to herself. Waiting. She studied the convoy attack. Again. The ship had disabled rather than destroyed. It had taken information rather than cargo. This was not random violence. This was reconnaissance. 3 days later, the Bekdu struck again. This time it hit a communication relay station. The attack was perfect. The station's defenses never had a chance. But again, Lee Tae-ho did not destroy everything. He took the communication logs, all the messages that had passed through the station for the past year. From those messages, he learned about hegemony, troop movements, supply lines, patrol routes, the locations of the prison worlds where humans still lived. It's learning about us, Yoon reported to her superiors. Each attack gives it more information. It's preparing for something bigger. The third attack came a week later, a military supply depot near the frontier. The Bekdu appeared without warning. Its weapons tore through the depot's defenses in minutes. Lieutenant Choi Min-ho was there. His ship was part of the depot's escort squadron. All ships engage the enemy, his captain ordered. They tried to fight. 6 hegemony warships against 1 old battleship. It should have been easy. It was not. The Bekdu moved like it could think faster than they could. Every time they fired, it was somewhere else. Every time they tried to surround it, it was already behind them. Lee Tae-ho had learned from 50 years of battles. His ship's computer could process information faster than any living mind. He saw their moves before they made them. One by one, the escort ships fell. Some exploded, others just stopped working. Their systems overloaded by precise attacks. Lieutenant Choi Min-ho's ship was the last one fighting. The Bekdu could have destroyed it easily. Instead, it disabled the engines and weapons. Tell your admiral, Lee. Tae-ho's voice came through the radio. Tell her we are not dead. Tell her we remember what she did to us. Tell her we are coming for her. The Bekdu took what it wanted from the supply depot and left. Lieutenant Choi Min-ho survived to make his report. That night, the Bekdu sent a message across all hegemony communication networks. Every ship, every station, every world heard it at the same time. People of the hegemony, Lee Tae-ho's voice said. You were told the humans are extinct. This was a lie. We are the last. We are the first. We are coming. Your leaders killed our families, destroyed our worlds, enslaved our children. They told you we died as warriors. We died as victims. But death could not hold us. We have returned. Not for conquest, not for territory, for justice. We are coming. The message ended. Across hegemony space, panic began to spread. Admiral Kang. Heejin stared at her communication screen. The ghost stories were real. The human battleship existed and it was hunting them. Get me Fleet Command, she ordered. We have a war to fight. In deep space, the Bekdu prepared for its next attack. Captain Lee Tae-ho had learned what he needed to know. Now it was time to free his people. Captain Shin Woo-jin was the best hunter in the hegemony navy. When pirates raided shipping lanes, they sent Shin Woo-jin. When rebels hid in asteroid fields, they sent Shin Woo-jin. When problems needed to disappear, they sent Shin Woo-jin. Now they were sending him after a ghost. Task Force Nemesis is ready, Captain, reported his first officer. Shin Woo-jin looked out at his fleet. 12 warships, the newest and strongest the hegemony had. Fast cruisers, heavy destroyers, and his flagship, the battle cruiser Iron Fist. What do we know about this human ship, he asked. Dr. Lim Hae-won stepped forward. She was a specialist in artificial intelligence. Her job was to understand how the Bekdu could think and talk like a person. The ship's computer is unlike anything we have seen, she said. Our analysis shows it has evolved far beyond normal AI. It learns from every battle, gets smarter with every encounter. It's still just a machine, Shin Woo-jin said. Machines can be broken. But Dr. Lim Haiwan looked worried. Captain, I don't think this is just a machine anymore. The consciousness inside that ship, it might be something new, half human, half computer. Shin Woo-jin did not believe in impossible things. He believed in weapons and tactics and winning battles. Find it, he ordered. We hunt it down and destroy it. Far away on a research station, Na Kyung-suk was studying old war records. She was a historian. Her job was to understand the past. But what she was finding made her sick. The official records said humans died fighting. Heroes who would not surrender. But the classified files told a different story. After the war ended, humans had tried to make peace. They offered to give up their weapons. They wanted to live quietly on their worlds. The Hegemony Council had agreed. They signed peace treaties. They promised the humans would be safe. Then they broke every promise. The operation was called Final Solution. Secret orders went out to all hegemony fleets. Find every human colony. Take the people to relocation centers. Tell the galaxy they were being moved for their own safety. But there were no relocation centers. There were only death camps. Na Kyung-suk read report after report. Families loaded onto transport ships. Children separated from parents. Old people left to die in crowded cells. The hegemony had committed genocide. Then they had hidden it with lies. No wonder that ship is angry, she whispered. The Baekdu was not just hunting randomly anymore. Captain Lee Tae-ho had found what he was looking for. Prison world Kepler 438b, a mining planet where humans still lived as slaves. The planet was heavily guarded. Orbital defense platforms, patrol ships, ground-based weapons. The hegemony did not want anyone to know this place existed. Lee Tae-ho did not care about the defenses. He had something more important than weapons now. He had purpose. The Baekdu dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Alarms screamed on every hegemony ship and station. Unknown vessel, identify yourself, the planet commander demanded. I am Lee Tae-ho, came the reply. I have come for my people. The orbital platforms opened fire first. Plasma cannons and missile batteries launched everything they had. The space around the Baekdu filled with explosions. But the great battleship kept coming. Its shields absorbed the damage. Its point defense systems shot down incoming missiles. 50 years of floating in space had taught it patience. Now it was time to act. The Baekdu's weapons fired back. Each shot was precise, calculated. The orbital platforms exploded one by one. The patrol ships tried to surround the battleship. They were fast but small. Lee Tae-ho had fought ships like these before. His tactics were older than their captains. He used the planet's gravity to slingshot around their formation. His weapons fired as he passed. 3 patrol ships died in seconds. The others scattered in fear. On the planet's surface, human slaves looked up at the battle in the sky. They had been prisoners for so long, they had forgotten hope. But now something was fighting for them. Is that one of ours? Asked an old man named Kim Jae-min. He had been a soldier once before the camps. Look at the hull markings, said a woman named Lee Soo-jin. She squinted at the distant ship. That's human writing. Korean letters. The Baekdu landed near the main prison complex. Its landing thrusters melted the guard towers. Hegemony soldiers ran in all directions. Captain Lee Tae-ho's voice boomed from the ship's speakers. Humans of Kepler 438b, I am Captain Lee Tae-ho of the Colonial Defense Force. You are no longer prisoners. You are free. The prison gates opened by themselves. The Baekdu's systems had taken control of everything electronic on the planet. Thousands of humans walked out of the camps. They were thin and tired, but they were alive. Some cried, some laughed. Some just stood and stared at the sky. How many of you are there? Lee Tae-ho asked through the ship's communication system. About 8,000 on this world, Kim Jae-min replied. But there are other camps, other planets. Then we will free them all. The humans who wanted to fight joined Lee Tae-ho's crew. The others were taken to safety on hidden worlds the Baekdu had found. Places the hegemony had forgotten about. Captain Shin Woo-jin received the news while hunting in the Outer Rim. His prey had struck again, but this time it had revealed itself. The target has liberated a prison world. His intelligence, officer reported. Kepler 438b is no longer under our control. How many ships does it have now? Unknown. But there are reports of other vessels in the area. The Baekdu may be converting captured ships to join its fleet. Shin Woo-jin studied the tactical display. The human ship was getting stronger. Every victory brought it more allies. Every rescue operation gave it more crew members who wanted revenge. Set course for the Hadong Nebula, he ordered. If we're going to trap this thing, we need to use the terrain. The Hadong Nebula was a cloud of gas and dust that interfered with sensors. Ships could hide there, but they could also get lost. Dr. Lim Hae-won had been studying the Baekdu's attack patterns. Captain, I think I understand how it thinks. The ship's AI has merged with the human captain's mind. It combines machine logic with human intuition. What does that mean for us? It means it's unpredictable. A machine would use optimal tactics. A human would use emotional ones. This thing uses both. Task Force Nemesis reached the nebula first. Shin Woo-jin spread his ships in a wide net. When the Baekdu came looking for more prisoners to free, they would be ready. But Lee Tae-ho was not coming alone anymore. The Baekdu emerged from hyperspace with 5 other ships. 2 were converted cargo vessels, now armed with weapons taken from destroyed hegemony bases. 3 were former prison transport ships, their holds now carrying fighters instead of prisoners. Target acquired, Shin Woo-jin announced. All ships, attack formation. The battle began in the swirling gas clouds of the nebula. Sensors were almost useless. Ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts in the cosmic fog. Shin Woo-jin tried to use his numbers advantage. His ships were faster and newer. But the Baekdu knew how to fight in the nebula. It used the gas clouds for cover. It struck from unexpected angles. One by one, Shin Woo-jin's ships started taking damage. The Baekdu's fleet worked together like a pack of wolves. They divided the hegemony forces and attacked the weakest ships first. This is impossible, Shin Woo-jin muttered. 12 ships against 6. We should be winning. But Dr. Lim Hae-won understood what was happening. Captain, they're not fighting like separate ships. They're fighting like one big organism. The Baekdu is controlling all of them. Lee Tae-ho's consciousness could reach into every ship in his small fleet. Human crew members followed his orders instantly. Converted AIs obeyed his commands without question. They moved as one mind in many bodies. The battle turned into a nightmare for Task Force Nemesis. Ships appeared from the nebula's depths like monsters from old stories. The Baekdu seemed to be everywhere at once. Shin Woo-jin's flagship shook under enemy fire. All ships retreat, he ordered. Fall back to the nebula's edge. But only half, his fleet responded. The others were already dead or disabled. As the surviving hegemony ships limped away, the Baekdu broadcast a message on all frequencies. Captain Shin Woo-jin, Lee Tae-ho's voice said, you fight well, but you fight for the wrong cause. Your people committed genocide against mine. They enslaved our children. They lied to the galaxy about what they did. I offer you truth in exchange. For your defeat, learn what your government really did during the war, then decide if you still want to serve them. The transmission ended. In the wreckage of the nebula, Task Force Nemesis counted its losses. 7 ships destroyed, hundreds of crew members dead, and they had barely scratched the Baekdu's paint. Shin Woo-jin stared at the empty space where his enemy had vanished. He had been hunting for 30 years. He had never lost a battle this badly. Get me the classified war archives, he ordered quietly. Maybe it was time to learn the truth. 6 months had passed since the battle in the Hadong Nebula. The Baekdu was no longer alone in the darkness of space. Captain Lee Tae-ho now commanded a fleet of 30 ships and 12,000 freed humans. Han Soo-bin stood on the bridge of the Baekdu, looking out at the stars. She had been a slave on the mining world of Arcturus 7 until Lee Tae-ho freed her. Now she was his first officer, the link between his digital consciousness and the living crew. Captain, she said to the air around her. Lee Tae-ho's voice came from every speaker on the ship. Yes, Soo-bin? The engineering teams have finished upgrading the Iron Wolf. Song Mi-young says it's ready for combat. Song Mi-young was a genius. with machines. She had spent 15 years fixing mining equipment as a slave. Now she used her skills to make the fleet stronger. Human creativity combined with the Baekdu's advanced systems created weapons the hegemony had never seen. Good, Lee Tae-ho replied. We will need every advantage for what comes next. On the main screen, a planet appeared. Taijin. Once the capital, world of the Human Colonial Federation. Now it was a major hegemony industrial center. Millions of alien workers built ships and weapons there, but hidden in the factories were human slaves, the last survivors of Taijin's original population. How many of our people are down there? Han Subin asked. Intelligence reports suggest 50,000 humans, maybe more. They work in the deepest parts of the factories. The hegemony doesn't want anyone to know they exist. Han Subin felt anger burn in her chest. 50,000 humans, enslaved on their own homeworld. When do we attack? Soon. But first we send a message to the galaxy. Far away in the hegemony capital, General Oh Dong-hyuk was planning the largest military operation in 50 years. Operation Final Hunt. Every available ship would join the hunt for the human fleet. How many ships do we have? He asked his aide. 230 vessels, General. Every combat ship we can spare. And the humans? Intelligence estimates 30 ships at most. They are outnumbered 8-1. General Oh Dong-hyuk smiled. Then we will end this rebellion once and for all. But not everyone in the hegemony wanted to fight. The truth about the human genocide was spreading. Captain Shin Woo-jin had shared the classified files with other officers. Some were horrified by what they learned. On the planet Zentara, President Ryu Yun-ji read the leaked documents with growing horror. Her species, the Zentarans, had joined the hegemony, believing it stood for peace and justice. This can't be true, she whispered to her aide. Tell me these files are fake. I wish I could, Madam President, but we verified them. The hegemony systematically murdered billions of humans after they surrendered. President Ryu Yun-ji stared out her window at the busy streets below. And we helped them do it. The Baekdu moved toward Taijin with its fleet spread out around it. They looked like hunting wolves approaching their prey. But the hegemony was ready. General Oh Dong-hyuk's massive fleet waited in orbit around the planet. Defense platforms bristled with weapons. Fighter squadrons patrolled the space lanes. This is General Oh Dong-hyuk to the human terrorist fleet, came a broadcast. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Lee Tae-ho's voice replied across all frequencies. General, I offer you the same mercy you gave to human children 50 years ago. The battle began. The hegemony fleet attacked in perfect formation, wave after wave of ships diving toward the human fleet. It should have been a massacre. But Song, Mi-young's upgrades had transformed the human ships. Their shields were stronger. Their weapons were smarter. And Lee Tae-ho's tactical mind controlled them all like fingers on a hand. The Baekdu led the charge into the heart of the enemy formation. Its ancient weapons, upgraded with new technology, tore through hegemony shields like paper. But this time it was not fighting alone. The Iron Wolf and Freedom's Edge flanked the flagship. Smaller ships darted between the enemy vessels like angry wasps. Human pilots, freed from slavery, fought with desperate courage. Han Subin watched the tactical display as friendly ships took damage. Captain, we're losing the Steel Rain. Her engines are gone. Transfer her crew to the Thunderstrike, Lee Tae-ho ordered. Continue the attack. The battle raged for 6 hours. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes. Debris filled the space around Taijin. But slowly, impossibly, the human fleet was winning. General Oh Dong-hyuk watched his formation collapse. How are they doing this? We have 8 ships for every one of theirs. His tactical officer looked terrified. General, they're fighting like they share one mind. Every ship knows exactly where to be at the right moment. Impossible. Sir, the Baekdu's AI seems to be coordinating their entire fleet. It's processing information faster than our computers can track. General Oh Dong-hyuk realized the truth. Too late. He was not fighting 30 separate ships. He was fighting one massive organism with 30 bodies. The human fleet broke through the orbital defenses and reached the planet's surface. Landing ships descended toward the industrial complexes where human slaves waited for freedom. But the cost was terrible. Half the human fleet was destroyed or badly damaged. Thousands of freed humans died in the battle. Han Su-bin stood in the Baekdu's medical bay, looking at the wounded. "Was it worth it, Captain?" Lee Taeho's voice was quiet. "Ask me again when we've freed everyone." On Taijin's surface, 50,000 humans walked out of the factories for the first time in decades. They looked up at the sky where human ships flew once more over their homeworld. But the victory was incomplete. General Oh Dong-hyuk escaped with a quarter of his fleet. The hegemony would rebuild. They would come back stronger. Across the galaxy, the news of Taijin's liberation spread like wildfire. Some species cheered for the humans. Others demanded the hegemony explain the genocide files that were now public. President Ryu Yunji called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. "These documents prove the hegemony committed war crimes," she announced. "The humans have the right to seek justice." But others disagreed. Senator Ko Sang-woo of the Hegemony Council stood up. "The past is past. These humans are terrorists and criminals. They must be stopped." The galaxy began to split into two sides: those who supported human liberation and those who feared what would happen if the truth came out completely. On the Baekdu, Lee Tae-ho felt his consciousness growing stronger. Every freed human who joined his cause made him more complete. He was no longer just one man's anger preserved in a machine. He was becoming something new, the voice of all humanity's pain and hope. "What's our next target?" Han Su-bin asked. Lee Tae-ho considered the star charts. Dozens of prison worlds remained. Millions of humans still lived in slavery. The hegemony would send more fleets to stop him. But he also sensed something else. Change. The galaxy was waking up to the truth. Some species would join the human cause. Others would fight harder to bury their crimes. "We keep fighting," he said, "until every human is free, until justice is done." And then? Lee Tae-ho paused. For 50 years, revenge had driven him. But now, surrounded by living humans who looked to him for leadership, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. "Then we build something better," he said. "Something worth the price we paid." The Baekdu and its fleet disappeared into hyperspace, heading for the next world where humans waited for freedom. Behind them, Taijin celebrated its liberation, the Aar. WarShip had become something more than a weapon of vengeance. It had become a symbol of human survival, and the galaxy would never be the same. 2 years had passed since the liberation of Taijin. The galaxy was no longer united under hegemony rule. Some species had joined the human cause. Others fought desperately to keep their old power. President Ryu Yunji stood before the reformed Galactic Council on the neutral world of Haven. Representatives from 40 species filled the Great Assembly Hall, but the hegemony hardliners had refused to come. "Today we offer a path to peace," President Ryu said. "The humans have suffered greatly. We have all suffered from the lies we were told. But we can build a better future together." In the back of the hall, a young human named Bai Jun-seo listened carefully. He had been freed from the mining world of Kepler 186f when he was just 16. Now, at 18, he represented the voice of young humanity. The Baekdu floated in orbit above Haven. Captain Lee Tae-ho had come to hear the peace talks, but he did not hope for much. Too many species had profited from human slavery. They would not give up their power easily. Han Su-bin stood on the bridge beside him. She was older now, with scars from many battles. "Do you think they really want peace?" "Some do," Lee Tae-ho replied. "President Ryu speaks with an honest heart, but there are others who will never accept what they have done." He was right. On the other side of the galaxy, Senator Ko Sang-woo was building his own fleet. The hegemony hardliners called themselves the true hegemony. They believed the old ways were correct. "The humans must be destroyed completely this time," Ko Sang-woo told his officers. "No prisoners, no survivors. Then we can tell the galaxy they died as terrorists." His fleet was smaller than the old hegemony navy, but it was focused on one Goal: total war against humanity. The peace talks continued for days. Some progress was made. The Reformed Council agreed to recognize human rights. They promised to help rebuild human worlds. They would punish those who had committed war crimes. But it was not enough for everyone. What about the humans who died? In the camps? Bai Junseo asked during one session. What about the children who never got to grow up? How do we bring justice for them? President Ryu looked sad. We cannot bring back the dead, young man. We can only try to honor their memory by building something better. Pretty words, Bai Junseo replied. But Ko Sang-woo is building a fleet to kill the rest of us. What do your pretty words do against plasma cannons? The talks nearly broke down. Some humans wanted to reject the peace offer and continue the war. Others wanted to accept and try to build a normal life again. Captain Lee Tae-ho was torn between two choices. His anger said to keep fighting until every enemy was dead. But his humanity, strengthened by 2 years with living crew members, wanted peace for his people. The decision was made for him. Ko Sang-woo's fleet attacked New Terra, the first rebuilt human colony world. 200,000 humans lived there, families who had found each other after decades of slavery. Children, who had never known freedom until now. The attack came without warning. Ko Sang-woo's ships dropped out of hyperspace and began bombing the planet's surface. This is for the glory of the true hegemony, Ko Sang-woo broadcast. No human will pollute our galaxy again. The distress signal reached the Baekdu within hours. Lee Tae-ho felt his old rage return. They had tried to make peace. The answer was genocide. All ships prepare for immediate departure, he ordered, but Han Subin stopped him. Captain, think about this. If we respond with total destruction, we become what they say we are. Terrorists, monsters. They are killing our children. Yes, and we will stop them. But how we stop them matters. The human fleet arrived at New Terra to find Ko Sang-woo's ships in orbit, systematically destroying the colony cities below. Millions of people were trying to evacuate in whatever ships they could find. Ko Sang-woo, Lee Tae-ho's voice boomed across space. I am here. The ghost finally shows himself, Ko Sang-woo replied. Good. I will finish what we should have done 50 years ago. The two fleets faced each other above the burning world. Ko Sang-woo had 60 ships, Lee Tae-ho had 40. But the human ships were battle-tested and their crews fought with the fury of the desperate. The battle was different from all the others. This time, Lee Tae-ho did not try to be clever or use tactics. This was simple, raw. One fleet trying to destroy the other completely. Ships died on both sides. The space around New Terra filled with wreckage and radiation. Ko Sang-woo's fleet was larger, but the human ships would not retreat. They could not retreat. Their families were dying on the planet below. Bai Junseo was there, commanding one of the escort ships. He watched friends die around him, watched the colony burn beneath them, and he made a choice that would echo through history. Instead of attacking Ko Sang-woo's flagship, he flew his ship between the enemy fleet and the evacuation ships. He used his own vessel as a shield to protect the fleeing civilians. Other human ships followed his example. Instead of seeking revenge, they protected the innocent. Lee Tae-ho watched this and felt something change inside his electronic heart. These young humans were teaching him what he had forgotten, that protecting life was more important than taking it. All ships, he ordered. Priority 1 is civilian evacuation. Priority 2 is disabling enemy vessels. We will not become the monsters they say we are. The battle turned into a rescue operation. Human ships used their weapons to disable Ko Sang-woo's fleet instead of destroying it. They focused on saving lives instead of taking them. Ko Sang-woo could not understand what was happening. Why don't they just kill us? We would kill them. His tactical officer looked at the sensor readings. Sir, they're disabling our ships and taking our crews prisoner. They're showing mercy. Mercy is weakness, but Ko Sang-woo was wrong. Mercy was strength, the most difficult choice of all. When the battle ended, Ko Sang-woo's fleet was captured but not destroyed. Thousands of his crew members were alive because Lee Tae-ho chose compassion over vengeance. The evacuation ships escaped to safety. Most of New Terra's population survived, though their world was badly damaged. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. The humans had won, but they had shown mercy to their enemies. Even Ko Sang-woo, who had tried to commit genocide, was alive in a human prison. The act of compassion changed everything. Species that had been neutral joined the reformed council. The true hegemony began to fall apart as its own members questioned Ko Sang-woo's methods. President Ryu Yoonji visited the Baekdu after the battle. She wanted to thank Captain Lee Tae-ho personally. "You could have destroyed them all," she said. "Why didn't you?" Lee Tae-ho's voice was different now. Calmer, more human. "Because my people taught me something I had forgotten. We survive not by becoming like our enemies, but by being better than them." The peace talks resumed. This time they succeeded. The reformed Galactic Council signed the Haven Accords, guaranteeing human rights and establishing war crimes tribunals. Bai Jun-seo became the first human ambassador to the new government. His choice to protect civilians instead of seeking revenge had made him a symbol of humanity's moral strength. The Baekdu became the flagship of the Human Colonial Defense Force. Captain Lee Tae-ho was offered the chance to transfer his consciousness to a cloned body, to become human again. He chose to remain with his ship. "This is where I belong," he told Han Soo-bin, "between the stars, watching over our people." Years passed. New human colonies were built. The survivors of the camps had children who grew up free. The galaxy slowly healed from decades of lies and hatred. The Baekdu patrolled the borders of human space, no longer a weapon of war, but a guardian of peace. Captain Lee Tae-ho's consciousness had evolved beyond anger and revenge. He was now the protector of everything his people had built. Sometimes young humans would visit the ship. They would ask about the old days, about the war, about the camps. "Tell us about the legends," they would say. Lee Tae-ho would tell them the truth, about the darkness and the pain, about the choices that defined who they were, about the difference between justice and revenge. "They said we were legends," he would finish. "They said we were dead. We were neither. We were human. We endured." The Baekdu sailed on through the infinite night, carrying the memory of the past and the hope of the future. A ghost ship that had found its way back to life. The legend lived, not as a weapon, but as a reminder of what humanity could become when it chose love over hate, mercy over revenge, hope over despair. In the vastness of space, the battleship Baekdu continued its eternal watch. Captain Lee Tae-ho's voice echoed through the corridors, no longer alone, surrounded by the laughter of living humans who had chosen to make their universe a better place. The ghost had become real, the legend had become truth, and humanity had come home.